What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Love and Rice Podcast with your host, Aunt Ma.
What's up, guys? I'm your other host, Christina Ma.
And today I want to talk about something that's really personal with us. We've been through a lot in the last year.
Yeah.
Okay. We moved from California to Nevada, right? Such a big change. And I want to talk about this to see if this was worth it for us or not.
Yeah, we know a lot of people are currently living in California, and I have so many friends who are reconsidering like moving out of state. And keep in mind, we've been in California our whole lives. So it's been such a shock for us to be in a completely different state from what we're used to.
Yeah, not even just California. There's a lot of people who are moving from Texas, New York, Colorado. They're coming over to Nevada, right? Vegas specifically. There's people who are in Vegas and they're moving out to Florida. They're moving to Texas. People in California are moving to Texas. Like everyone's just kind of moving everywhere. And for those of you that are like the ones that are like, they think about it and they don't know what to do, this podcast is for you. Like we're going to talk about all this to see if this move has been worth it or not.
You know, I feel like this is all happening just because of like the pandemic, right? And then companies are starting to realize that people are able to actually work from home and still be productive. And I think that's why people are now like, hey, well, I have the flexibility to be able to move wherever I want to this time. Like I don't have to feel trapped to be in whatever state I am now.
It definitely gives everybody more options.
Right.
I think what it is that because during COVID or the actual critical part of the pandemic where we're stuck in our house for a year, or everyone's stuck in their apartments and they couldn't go anywhere, everyone just started thinking about, what do I want to do with my life now? What's going to make me happy? How am I going to live my best life?
Yeah, and I think especially in California, I'm not sure how other states were, but I know that they were probably one of the strictest states. Like we couldn't go anywhere, but then you would see people in like Nevada for some reason, and they would just be out and about and not really having the same restrictions as us.
Like what?
I think in California we had a curfew.
Yeah.
We couldn't go out past, what was it, like 9 p.m.?
Something like
that, right? And a lot of stores were closed. So it was kind of like really depressing to see people weren't able to go into their small businesses, restaurants, other things, and like operate like a normal business.
Right.
But
so I think it wasn't even like the personal reasons of like, hey, I want to move because things are closed down and people aren't wearing masks in other states. I think it's more of like, if you've been home for a year and you're like, dang, I want to do something better with my life. And if you want to open up a business or something like that, you're going to rethink, do you want to open one in California? Because those businesses were closed. And you're like, dang, how am I going to survive? I can't even, there's so many owners who are like, I didn't make money during that time. Yeah. And then they had to move to another state to open up their business, start over.
And a lot of companies had to close down because of the pandemic.
So I think that was one of the biggest reasons for us, was just like, you're right. The governing rules in California was one of the factors. The other factor was the crime, right? And then the high prices.
I think it was a lot of like mental health for us too, because I think we were always in the mentality of like trying to hustle and work all the time. And it's just so hectic in California where you're like, okay, well, I got to plan for traffic. I got to plan for, I don't know, like traffic would take like 1 to 2 hours where you would have to plan ahead if you wanted to go somewhere. So it wasn't as like chill, and like you weren't, I don't know what the word is, but you couldn't really be spontaneous with what you wanted to do. You had to like plan everything ahead of time, which kind of made it a little stressful. So
I think a lot of people have the same reasons, and a lot of people who watch our vlogs, they know why we moved because we talk about it all the time.
Right.
So I kind of want to get into, was the move worth it? Because now we've been here for a year. We lived in Las Vegas for 1 year, guys. I can't believe it. First off, like this is such a huge milestone for you and me. It's incredible that we moved away.
Yeah,
from our lives and started brand new.
I never thought we would do that.
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Like how many people get a chance to say, I got to start over and do something else with my life?
Not too many, because people get comfortable or they think that they can't move, they can't afford to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's help people make their decisions and make it easier for them who have the same thoughts that we had. A lot of people say they can't, right? Because like you said, they're comfortable. And it's just, guys, if you want to, you can always just pack up and leave. You can quit your jobs, get a new job, whatever, figure it out. But if you want to leave, leave. For me, it was just, I don't want to stay in the same place till I'm 100 and die in the same place for all those years.
Yeah.
I want to experience something new, So I think even just when we're at home and we're like, man, we got this great interest rate that's like 2.6. We'll never leave this house.
Amazing.
And then 4 months later, we're like, hold on, let's move, right? Like we decided for some reason to move. And in that short amount of time, we're like, oh, wow, let's start looking at homes. And we found a home in a new build community.
Right. And that's something we probably would not have been able to do in California. And going back to you saying, like, if you have a job, you can leave it. But I would suggest, like, if you really were considering and you have like a top state that you want to move to, start looking. Like right now, I feel like is the best time where you can look online and try to find remote jobs, or you can find things where you could just do it online and specifically for that state, because you kind of want to prepare yourself first, because you're kind of leaving your life behind when you're moving from a different state, right? So you're leaving your family, you're leaving your friends, but at least have that that job or career in mind first.
That's true. I did prepare.
Yeah.
I started taking my real estate classes for Nevada, and I made sure I got my license before we moved.
Right.
So that was my backup, if anything.
Yeah, because I think when you are moving to a completely different state and you're thinking about all the things that you're leaving behind, you're holding that with you when you're moving. So when you at least have one thing, and career is a huge thing, right? Then you feel more motivated, and then you'll feel like, okay, I made the right decision. I came here. I feel more established. Like I didn't leave everything behind for nothing.
I kind of did.
What do you mean?
I left. So when we left, the real estate business for me in LA was booming.
Yeah.
It was booming. And I'm like,
that's true.
Shit, I got to start all over again, because I had so many clients in LA, and I was like, how am I going to do this to start over in Vegas and get clients in Vegas? Like it's hard, that took like 2 years to build that up. Right. So I was like, I had to, for a few months, leave that behind. But now, I fly back and forth. But we'll get to that in a bit.
Okay.
Right now, I want to talk about the hardship. Was it a hardship for you to pack up the whole house, put it into a U-Haul, and drive across state lines?
I would say that it was pretty hectic, and I felt like we kind of had to move at a faster pace, and we kind of ran through a few obstacles, right? Because our place, because it was a new community, our house kept getting delayed. Do you remember that? And we were supposed to move already. We had everything like packed up and ready to go. But then we had to sell our house because it was up on the market. We planned it all out. But then one of the bumps were that, the house wasn't ready. So we ended up having to move to my parents' house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were there for about a month.
I would say that was probably one of the hardest things to do. Living with in-laws is like, you don't know how hard it is until you're actually living with in-laws.
Right.
And so I recommend anybody who has to do that, if you have the funds to go rent somewhere else and not bother people and be invasive in their own comfortable home, don't bother them. That's one lesson that I've learned. We stayed there for a month. And then I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like, why don't we just go rent a place in Vegas and move everything there and start living there and see how it is?
Yeah, so we were at my parents' house for about a month. And then after that, it just became too crowded because all of our stuff was also at their house. And, they had their own stuff, and then things would get moved around. And we're like, oh, no, it's getting complicated, right?
It's almost like we were living in a jail cell, because they had this additional room, and it was 4 of us living in this additional room, and it was the bed, it was like a table for us to eat dinner.
Right.
Like it was hard.
It was too cramped because we came from a 3-bedroom house to just being confined in a studio, basically. So it was just tough for us. And then after that, then we decided, for our own mental health as well, like maybe we should just start moving our stuff and finding a place in Nevada, right?
Yeah.
So then we moved again, and we moved into an apartment. It was bigger, and it was pretty pricey. I think we spent, it was like
was-
$3,000 a month.
$3,000 a month for a 2-bed, 2-bath.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I didn't like the fact that we had to live at your parents' house. I didn't
Right.
like the fact that we had to rent an apartment for so much money. But the actual moving from your mom's house to the apartment, it wasn't hard. That was easy. A lot of people stress about this part. They're like, oh my gosh, I got to pack up the whole house and I got to drive it across state lines. Or if I get a moving company to drive the stuff over, all of our moving boxes, it's going to cost too much money.
Right.
It's like $5,000. And so what we did was we moved twice, right? We moved from our house, sold it into your parents' house.
Yeah, everything went
Right.
into their house.
And then we packed up again and went from your parents' house to Vegas.
Yes.
And instead of paying $5,000 for a moving company to do everything and drive it over, or even getting like one of those pods, you know, those pods where like they drop it off in your driveway, you put all your furniture and boxes in there, and then the company will pick up the pod and drive it to your next destination. That was like, I think $2,500, half the price, right? So that was still a great option. But, you know, I was like, you know what? We are moving to a really expensive home now. And I want to save as much money as possible. So I had to rent the U-Haul. We had a moving company move everything into the U-Haul for us. I drove the U-Haul myself. You were behind me on the drive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
With the 2 kids and the dog.
And the
No, the dog was at my parents' house.
okay, I was like, wait, no, we left the dog at your parents' house because of an apartment.
And then and then when we got to Vegas, we had a moving company meet us and help us unload.
Right.
For me, the drive was a bit scary.
Yeah, because you're the one who had to drive the U-Haul.
It was like a 40-foot U-Haul or 36-foot U-Haul. So it's like driving a big rig. Actually, I don't even know the measurements, but it was the largest U-Haul that you can rent. And when I'm driving it, when you drive from LA to Vegas, it's so windy. So when you're driving a big truck like that, you're moving side to side. And then I don't know if you guys have ever driven a U-Haul, but when you are driving the steering wheel, it's so loose.
Yeah.
And you're like
it moves
this,
around.
trying to stay straight, right? And then it's so hard because when the wind comes, it blows you to the side of the freeway, and now you're hitting those dun, 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 dun,
That's
dun,
so scary.
right? And then so when you try to swerve back in, the whole truck starts swerving, and then you're like this again. And I'm like, man, this is scary.
Yeah, I think I followed you for a little bit, but then because you had to drive really slow because you're driving something so heavy.
Yeah, you could feel the weight with all the furniture in there. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to slow down because the whole car just keeps moving side to side.
Yeah, I think for me it was a lot easier because we packed whatever stuff, like all the fragile stuff in my car because we didn't know how it was going to be with the mover. So we had like glass and stuff that we didn't want to get ruined, right? So I had all of that, and then I had the kids. I was worried because we didn't really drive that often and that long on trips with the kids, and I thought they were gonna get fussy, but like they ate and they fell asleep. So I got super lucky. They slept most of the ride.
How did you feel the whole time when you're driving to Vegas? Were you like, I can't believe I'm going to my new city?
It felt weird because, you know, we've made the drive to Vegas before, but it just felt different because I was like, well, we're actually driving here and staying here. Like, we're not just here for the weekend and going back home. Like, this is our home.
Yeah.
So it was kind of it was a cool feeling. But I think at the same time, I was also sad. But I think I kind of controlled my emotions there because I mentally prepared myself like months prior, just like, okay, we're going to move, not going to cry. I'm not going to get too emotional with my family before I left. Like, I think they were trying to do the same thing. Like, they were trying to like give hugs, but like not get too emotional because they knew how I would get. So I think that helped a lot. Because if I was crying with them and giving them hugs and like sobbing, I think I would have been like that driving.
So here's the first part of, was it worth it? So you had to leave your family.
Right.
I had to drive that U-Haul. Mm-hmm. We had to move twice. We just all the things that we went through with that part only, those hardships, was that worth it for you now, a year later?
Yeah, like if I were looking back at the time when it was actually happening, I was like, whoa, this is so much. This is so overwhelming. Like we had to go through so many different like barriers and obstacles. But when I'm thinking about it now and seeing where we are, and just our environment, like I would say it was worth it.
Yeah, I think those hardships of physically moving over here was definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of want to talk about how it's been here. Like, what here in Vegas actually made it worth it. You know, we have things like we have this brand new home. Mm-hmm. Is having this brand new, bigger home worth it?
It feels nice. I would say there's pros and cons to it because it's a really big house and I love having this space and just having like a brand new home. Like that was something that I didn't know I would ever have in my life. And just to like, I don't know,
As a man of the house who has to fix everything when things break, I love that we have a new home.
because there's not too many things.
Not too many things break. It's just more of like, oh my gosh, this got dirty and I want to keep it clean and new.
Yeah.
That's the different type of stress, you know? But in terms of like the size of the house, I feel like if we were to get a smaller home in the future, it's going to be difficult because we work from home. Half the house is a business for us.
Right.
We actually utilize the space. So I think we always need a somewhat of a big house.
I feel like maybe we can. And I don't know if I want to do a second story though. Yeah.
Well, those single story big homes cost a lot more.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
They're
that.
like 1.4 minimum
Why is that?
because it's higher in demand
Oh, that makes
for
sense.
the exact reason you said.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. But I would definitely say the home was worth the move because very often I drive from Vegas to LA to do some work and I drive back. And I think for the last 13 weeks, I've driven and flown from Vegas to LA about 11 or 12 times in the last 13 weeks.
Yes.
It's literally 1 to 2 times a week, right? And I'll do these same day trips where I'll fly in the morning or drive in the morning, come back the same day. There's times where I drove at like 7 a.m., got there at 11 a.m., did what I had to do with clients for about an hour or two. And then by 12 or 1, I'm already driving back, trying to make it back before dinner. But on the drive backs, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go home. Like, I appreciate our home so much because when I'm driving in LA, I'm looking at how old the homes are, how old the streets look, how there's all this, the homeless, the crime, and I'm looking at all this traffic. And I'm like, man, LA feels so congested now and so old that when I come here to Vegas, I'm like, it's like a relief. I'm like, I can't believe we have this new home. I can't wait to go into this new home. It feels so good.
For me, it's not even like, so when I see old homes, I'm like, oh, there's so much history to it. So that's not a big thing for me. But the fact that these homes they're old, but then they cost so much.
It's that. And I think it's more of just no one back in LA. So I'm not bashing LA at all. This is just what I see when I drive there. Many people don't upkeep their properties and even the commercial properties. Everything has brown dirt from the rain, all inside of the buildings. They don't want to pressure wash it and keep it clean. It's just dirty. And it reminds me of San Francisco because I spent a lot of time in San Francisco and San Francisco feels the same way. When I used to visit San Francisco, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so crowded. It's so dirty and old. And I'm so happy living in LA, And now that I'm in Vegas, where it's a newer city, now I feel like LA is what San Francisco used to be to me.
I think it probably just depends on what parts of LA that you're into. Maybe if you're in like Beverly Hills or like other nicer areas, then it might be a little bit different.
Right. But in SGV, it's like, you go to the doctor's office and half the paint's gone on the building,
Yeah.
half the sign doesn't work, and then you got a homeless guy on the corner. You know,
feel-
it's a lot.
I feel like that goes back to like the cost of living, right? Because everything costs so much to have to fix and to renovate. So people are already like, maybe they're struggling already to try to like make their rent or whatever their costs are to cover like for the
Yeah.
month. So they're like, oh, well, I got to pay out employees and all of this other stuff and like for resources. So I can't really.
So this is another part that makes it worth it for me, at least, is the cost of living. You know, because the cost of living is cheaper here in Vegas, we're able to afford to do more things to our house.
Right.
You know, like I think a benefit is with a new build, we have this blank canvas at this house and we can do whatever we want. Even though the house is built and you have the floors done, the kitchen, you know, cabinet colors are picked already, all the vanities, everything's done, right? But it's like, we got to add these glass doors to our office.
Yeah, you kind of
know?
get to add your own like personal touch to it rather
Right.
than just buying a home that's already established.
Like I'm so happy that we have the option to build a fireplace, you know?
True.
And now we're building a pool. Like all these things is like, it's not like, okay, I'm so happy that I get to do all these things. It's more of like, wow, I didn't know we would ever have the option and possibility to do this. And
Yeah.
it's nice to have these options.
And even then, like when we moved out here, we were going back and forth about a lot of the things because being in California, we were always just, you know, trying to be conservative, right? So then when we came out here, we're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't build it. Like it's going to cost this much. But just, I think being out here kind of just changed our mentality as well.
Well, because we're also saving money, right?
That's true.
So like for one example is everyone talks about Nevada being a no state income tax, right? So
That was a huge thing.
that's
for us.
huge, right? Especially because there's so much streams of income that we have on different avenues that really helps us.
Right.
And then the second thing is whenever we go get gas, it's so cheap. You know, it is expensive overall from before, but right now we're paying like $4.25 a gallon, you know? And every time we fill up the car, we literally save up about $20 a week.
Yeah,
That's almost $100 a month.
that makes a huge difference.
$100 a month just by living here, you know,
Yeah.
and that's just on gas. We're not including anything else that we save money on.
Yeah, and even just thinking about the convenience of going to get gas too, like it's just so different. I used to stress about getting gas in California all the time because I'm like, oh, I gotta go here, or there's gonna be so many people,
It's like
it's so
an hour.
expensive. Yeah,
It takes an hour sometimes. Well, that's because we're talking about like going to Costco, guys. So like you got to drive in traffic to go to Costco and then wait in the Costco traffic line and then drive back. That's literally an hour
Yeah.
just to get gas.
I mean, we'll have lines where we are too, but it's just not as bad.
It's not, well, there's no traffic on the way there and back.
Right.
That's the difference. So
Oh,
you
yeah,
save 30 minutes. Some other things that helps with living expenses is that as a local, our local mall is the outlet,
Oh yeah,
right?
that's true.
So we're not going straight up to, I mean, yeah, you can buy stuff on websites, right? Like Nike.com, things like that. But we're not. We're just like, let's just go to the outlet. And so I think that definitely helps with cost of living too.
Right.
Because everything we buy is on sale.
Yeah, because a lot of the malls in Vegas,
They're on the strip.
yeah,
We don't have malls outside the strip. I think we have one.
we have one.
But it's like, it's so small and doesn't really have anything there. Everything else is like retail shops. But like at the strip, where did we go? It was like the biggest mall on
Fashion show mall.
fashion show. So
Yeah,
it's like,
3 stories.
I mean, even there, like you don't really buy anything.
Yeah,
you know?
well, there's so many stores that you can go to, so I feel like it's probably like a half day kind of shopping.
So is the outlet because there's so many deals.
True. Yeah, because
No,
if you go to the strip, like everything is just a lot more expensive because you're talking about like Caesars, Venetian.
Right. I'm just happy that what we think of our local mall as is the outlets.
Yeah.
And I'm
I
so
love
grateful
outlet
for
shopping.
that. I love it. And then the other thing okay, so that's another thing that makes it worth it for us, right? How about food?
Food.
What is the the best food and the worst food that you've had. And, we can talk about these prices too.
Okay. So, I feel like when we're in California and we would make trips to like San Diego, we would always get tacos al gordo.
Yeah.
And that's like the one thing that we've eaten like so many times since we've been out here. So that's one of my favorite places. And then we've had some of the best Thai food, I would say.
Thai food is really good in Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's different.
I would say sushi is also good.
Sushi is good out here.
Pizza. I think pizza is really good out here.
What kind of pizza?
So there's so many options for New York pizza, which I love. That's my favorite. And then the fact that we can also get Chicago pizza.
I knew you were going to say that.
Deep dish. Okay.
Yeah.
We can go down the street and get a deep dish Chicago pizza. If you guys have never tried deep dish, it's a game changer. It's not something I can get every time because that cheese, that amount of cheese is so heavy and like I'll have a stomach ache for sure. But back in California, the only way I knew what Chicago pizza was because my brother would buy it online and ship it to our house as a gift.
And it'd be like frozen.
It'd be frozen. And I'm like, what is this pizza? Like how come we can only get it in Chicago? And then knowing that now in Vegas, we can get it here. I'm just like, there's so many pizza options. That's why when yesterday you're like, should I just get a pizza from Costco? I'm like, hell no. We got New York pizza and Chicago here in Vegas. Crazy.
Well, we get Costco pizza because of the price and the convenience. So
yeah, but I don't think it tastes good.
It's different.
I think the worst pizza I've ever had.
Oh, yeah.
I'd rather have Sam's Club pizza.
Oh, I had a dream last night and that we moved to a new house.
Where?
I don't know where it was, but then our backyard was like Sam's Club and Whole Foods, and it was crazy. And I was like, isn't this so cool? Like every time we have to go buy milk, we could just go to our backyard and go get it.
Oh my God, that's your dream, huh? Yeah. Wow. She's like, one day I can just walk outside and grab milk and come home.
Yeah, like it's already convenient now, but I'm like, and then if we have to get gas, we just have to go through the backyard and go get it.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I'm dreaming about nowadays.
That's a crazy dream. Okay. So in terms of bad food, I got to say that the worst food I've had here is pho.
Oh yeah, pho has been a miss out here.
Do you remember this one time we went to this place? It was called Pho OC, right? And it sounded like pho in OC in Orange County, guys, is the best pho you've ever had. Okay, it's way different from SGV. It's got different flavors. It's more authentic, and I just love it. It's like you're actually going to Vietnam, right?
Yeah, and that was like one thing that we really love, right? We would drive out to the beach and make it a beach day specifically just to get that pho.
Right. And so
good.
When I found this restaurant here in Vegas that's called Pho OC, I was so excited.
Yeah.
Right? And then I ordered this, what is it called? Like pho or like bo ko or something? The one with the beef stew?
Yes. I don't know.
So like you can either get the beef stew with a bread to dip it with, a French bread, or you get it with noodles, right? And so when I ordered it, usually it's stewy, it's like brown and orange, and it's so thick in the sauce and soup.
Yeah.
Right? So much flavor.
It's like a stew.
Right. But what I got was the pho broth, and it was just like a teaspoon of an orange stew. And so the whole thing was just clear with some oil dots around it.
Yeah, it was very diluted. It tasted weird.
I was just like, how come it's not stew? Why does it look like chicken soup and it's called beef stew? That was the worst pho I've ever had.
Yeah, and I don't normally try to we don't bash restaurants at all because we want them to have fair business. But I think for this one, I was just so confused because they had a lot of good ratings. And I was like, okay, so maybe we just ordered the wrong stuff. But I feel like I probably got just the regular pho duck bit, right? It's just your typical standard pho.
Yeah.
And everything just tasted diluted and watered down, and the texture of things was just not great.
Oh my gosh, we sound like food snobs. But I think it's also adding that food in Vegas is also not that cheap.
That's true.
It's
So
it's expensive.
I guess because we had to pay so much for it, and I was just like, oh, like
How much is a pho here?
out here, I would say it runs anywhere from like 15 to 17 now.
Yeah,
Or
I
if
would
you
say like a pho that bit is 18 to 20 bucks.
yeah.
You know, that's your combination pho. And I'm like, whoa, I'm kind of mind blown that it costs so much here.
Yeah, I think it's
So-
the shock of that because when we're still in LA, we knew like a lot of pho places, and the prices were like, I think it was maybe already like $13.
Yeah, I mean, you can
for
still
pho.
get it for like 12, 13 bucks in LA.
Yeah,
you know?
so coming out here, we're like, oh, cost of living is so much cheaper. But then when we found out like the cost of food, we're just like, whoa.
I think because the food and the groceries, especially the Asian groceries, they get them from LA.
So they
and
have
they
to
gotta
pay-
truck the supplies over.
Right.
And that's why it costs more because their surcharges are higher. Right?
Yeah.
And so do you think like that's the worst part about living in Vegas for me is that it's the cost of groceries in the Asian market and the Asian food. Do you think that was dealing with this problem? Do you think it's still worth living in Vegas?
I feel like it still kind of makes up for it with the cost of living overall. Like even though
Yeah,
you're paying
so
more
you're
for
okay
food and
with
stuff,
it.
yeah, I feel like it's still worth it.
But I think if we moved like in the middle of Delaware, where they had just like one pho place made by an American owner, I don't think I can do that.
No, we
At
can't
least
even move
they-
to Utah because of
Right.
the food choices.
At least Vegas has a lot of food choices. You know?
Yeah, so if you're a foodie and you're trying to move from somewhere that has really good food like California, I feel like Vegas is a good place, but
it's
then
a good alternative.
it's a good alternative, but you have to make sure you move somewhere where they're going to have some of your favorite foods that you can go to and get your comfort foods because
That's key.
food is a big thing.
I think that's the key. When you're saying that you have to find an area where they have to have your favorite foods, because Vegas actually has a lot of delicious and places that nowhere else in the world has.
Yeah,
like it's
that's
very
true.
special, right? There's celebrity chefs, there's buffets at the casinos. There's a lot of good stuff. But if those things are not your favorite and not your comfort foods, then you are a long way from home.
Yeah, or you can start learning how to make your favorite dishes at home.
But I think this is a benefit for us is that we were able to try Hell's Kitchen.
Oh yeah,
You know,
true. Mm-hmm.
We're able to go to the casinos and have a buffet anytime we want.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like-
but also bad.
Every time it's a holiday, I go on my phone and I start looking up the Wynn Buffet, Buccanell at Caesars, and I'm like, let's make reservations for Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Oh, that's true.
You know, like
yeah.
that's such a huge benefit where I don't have to cook that stuff during the holidays. But what sucks is that every time I look it up on the reservation list, they always black it out.
Oh,
They no longer take reservations on the holidays.
wow.
Yeah, it gets too busy. They don't need to.
Yeah, that's true. So it's like first come first serve.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I do miss though is going to steakhouses because all of the steakhouses are on the strip. And I think once you become a local, you kind of, to any state, I feel like you avoid the touristy places or you avoid the places where like it gets
You know,
so packed.
I think it's a different vibe. So there are steakhouses in Henderson. There are steakhouses in Summerlin. So like you have your Flemings, you have Herbs and Rye, you have Laurie's, you have Golden Steer.
There's a Laurie's out here?
There is. It's on the east side. You know, and these are not, they're not on the strip. But I think what the difference is the vibes. So it's like you're going to drive to Henderson or Summerlin to go eat at these Richie steakhouses. But then when you're in California, you're like, you're making it a whole day where it's like, I'm going to make reservations at this place in Beverly Hills. I'm going to go drive there. So it's all different. Your whole mentality is like,
That's true.
It's an experience,
Right.
right? But when you got to like drive to the east side to Laurie's, it's a little different. You're not like, I don't know if I want to dress up as much driving to the east side to go to Laurie's.
It becomes like a daily thing or like a normal
It's more
occurrence.
normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as special. You know, and like when you go to these steakhouse and you're paying so much money, you want to feel special. And I think that's why they have it on the strip. And when we go there, like to Hell's Kitchen, we should dress up or things like that. But that is a big difference.
Yeah. And I think just moving out here and being locals now. We're just thinking about, well, we don't have to do these extravagant things, right?
We don't. We barely go to the strip.
Yeah,
Like I think we've been to the strip less than 10 times in this year.
True.
Our first year here.
and then every time we go out there, we're like, why are we out here? This is why we don't come out here, because it gets so busy.
I mean, I would love to go on the weekdays actually,
Yeah,
and just experience
when the
it.
kids are in school.
Yes, I think that's a huge benefit. Is we get to experience a whole new city while the kids are in school. That's what I want to do more of.
Yeah. And I would say that's one pro of moving out here too, because for me, family life has always been a priority, and then also school for the kids. Because where all the places that we were living before, the school districts weren't always the best. But now that we're in a better neighborhood, and it feels, it just feels a lot more safe. And just the schools that the kids are going to, like, I feel like I don't have to worry as much with them being there with everything that's been happening, all the current events. Like, it's
So
just,
here's something that a lot of people don't know is that everyone knows that Vegas is ranked one of the worst schools in the nation.
right.
And California is one of the highest. Okay. All the schools, even like the area, like in West Covina, it was like 7 out of 10 rating, which to us was horrible while we're living in California. But that 7 out of 10 is still better than your top tier schools here in Vegas, right? But what people don't know is that there are blue ribbon schools here in Vegas. There are private schools here in Vegas.
There are also charter
And
schools.
there are charter schools that are free. And so there's a lot of different choices and options. And you don't have to be in the worst ranked schools in Nevada.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
I would say another important thing too, if you have family or if you're in the transition of having kids, that was one thing that we focused on a lot, which was trying to figure out the school districts, and that kind of determined like where we would live too, so that we would make it convenient for the drive to take the kids to the school, and just knowing that they would have a better education, because that was our whole point of like moving out here too.
I do like that we live in a community with a gate.
Yes.
I think that's a huge benefit that made it worth the move.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of communities out here that have gates, which is great.
Almost every community.
Yeah.
Almost.
It's nice to see.
So I love that part. How about all the activities for the kids? Do you think there's enough options for them here compared to California?
Yes, there's so many parks. There's a lot of public parks, and they're all they make them so nice, and they're so big, and they're always so clean.
They have so many fun things here at the parks. So some parks that we go to have zip lines, some have splash pads. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they're made differently too, because the parks that I'm used to, like back home when I would take the kids, it's just, your standard park where they have like the swings, the slides, like the jungle gyms and stuff like that. But when you come to these, you're like, oh wow, like these are netted. They have all these different obstacles that they can climb over. It just kind of like makes them have to think outside of the box to try to figure out how to like get around these obstacles.
I think because these parks here in Vegas are more new.
Right.
So there's new things for them. The parks are improving, right? But the ones in LA, they're still the original parks. So they don't improve. They're just what we've known from what we played with when we were a kid. Our kids are still playing with back home in LA. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
But here, it's all brand new stuff. And it's cool because you can see the growth in the way child development works out here. And like, they're always trying to progress, So I do like that. See, the kids go to art class. They go to jiu-jitsu. I feel like it's a little bit harder to find other things though. Like I was looking up dance class for Leia, and all of them just kind of had bad reviews. But there's a couple that I was like, okay, maybe we should try and check out this dance class. And we haven't yet. But I know in LA, there's so many options. Like there's so many things that we can do for the kids, way more activities.
But I feel like, so I guess out here, I feel like because we don't have to worry about like the commute as much or traffic and stuff like that, that we are able to take them to places without stressing. Because I think if we were back in California, the mentality was different, where it was like, oh, I don't know if we're gonna have time because we're gonna have to plan like an hour ahead for traffic and then have to take them and then drive back, and oh, they're gonna have school tomorrow. So I feel like that would have stressed us out more.
You know why? I think we also take that extra step in California because we're like, this is the best school, or this is the best activity for the kids because the person who's teaching is like a champion, or they're the best in this or best in that, because California has a lot of those type of people. Like they're the best in everything.
Right.
They've won so many awards, you know, they win medals and all these things. So you're like, you have the opportunity to drive an hour away to get the best activity for the kids, that you're willing to make that drive through the stress, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we can find that out here too.
I don't think they're as like, yes, there's really good teachers here and really good activities and like other extracurricular things for the kids to do, but they don't breed champions like the way LA does.
LA is pretty competitive.
I think some other things was living in this, you know, in these communities for the kids, like the safety. I think that was the number one thing, right?
Yes.
So the number one reason why I'm so comfortable here with safety is because we're able to get a CCW.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know what CCW is, it's a concealed carry weapon permit or license, and you have to apply for it. You have to take classes. You have to get approved by the instructor. You get approved by Las Vegas police to get this, and it allows you to carry a gun on you. You have the right to carry a gun on you in case anything happens. You know what I mean? So it's like, with all these crazy things going on in the world right now, like where did we go the other day where you're like, should I bring this? And I was like, yes, because if there's a mass shooting, we can protect ourselves. Where did we go?
Trick-or-treating.
Yo, trick-or-treating. Yes.
Trick-or-treating.
We went trick-or-treating at Town Center.
Yeah.
Right? And this place is huge. There's so many people there, and any psycho can come down there and just shoot up all the kids and shoot up everybody. Right? And I'm like, no, we need to protect ourselves and our kids.
Yeah, because thinking about going trick-or-treating this year, like with everything that was going on, I was kind of like hesitant. I didn't know if I wanted to. So, you know, I was happy that we went to Town Center because, you know, it's like there's all these security, there's like police patrolling. But if you're going to like house to house, like you don't know what's going on over there.
Right.
And you don't know who you can trust, right? With candy that you're getting, and just like, there were some random people that were at Town Center that were a little bit questionable, but at the same time, I felt like if anything were to happen, there would be.
Yeah, we got it. Like we can stop things from going further.
Yeah.
Right?
So I felt more empowered just knowing that I had some kind of protection on me in case if anything were to happen, you know?
Yeah. So I think this is, after getting this license, I'm like, I don't know if I would ever move out of a state that wouldn't allow this.
Yeah, that would be tough. Because even when we have to go back to California, I'm like, oh man, I wish I could bring it, but I can't. So
yeah, like I just want to always be able to have some sort of protection. You know, like you got to think about cops, right? Like I've been with cops who are like off duty, and they're like sometimes they make their significant other wait in the car or things like that, and they're worried, they're stressed. They're like, if they got to go into the store real quick while their wife is in the car, they're like, please be careful, here's this, here's that, right? But when they find out that I have protection on me, they're like, oh, I feel much better, right? So like, we should all be thinking like cops, where they're like, wherever you go, you should have the protection to protect your family.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's a gun or if it's a knife or it's a taser or pepper spray, whatever it is, have something, you know? I've always had something on me, so.
Yeah, but I think a cop knows that pepper spray or taser is not going to do much.
Depends on the person.
It's only enough for you to run away.
Yeah.
But not to stop something.
Yeah, I mean, just always have something, right? To try to protect yourself.
I think that alone was worth it to move.
Yeah.
What are some things that is not worth it for you to move?
Um,
Like, what are the hardest things that you've been going through since you moved here?
I would say leaving friends and family was like the biggest down. I wouldn't say downfall. It's the biggest con for me because when we're in California, I could just be like, oh, I need a break. I need to get out of the house. I'm just going to go to my parents' house and just go hang out with them and see them, you know, because it's always nice to be able to like go and talk to them. Even if I'm just sitting around like doing nothing with them, at least I get to see them and bond and talk and have conversations with other adults rather than just the kids.
I think that's where we have a little bit of a difference here because my family is always busy. So I can't just go there and hang out with them.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. Our family dynamics is complete opposites. So I really appreciated having that relationship with my parents.
Yeah.
And like whenever you would have to go out to work, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take the kids with me, take them to go see grandparents, and that was always nice. Or just even being able to see friends, like that's one huge thing that I will think about sometimes because I'm like, all right, I'm home. Like I'm in that mode where I'm like, oh well, I just want to get stuff done around the house because there's still so much to do, or there's stuff to do for like the kids or whatever it is. I'm just thinking about getting stuff done. But back home, I'm like, all right, I need me time. I need to get out of the house. Like, ooh, who should I hit up to go hang out with or have a play date with or just have some girl time?
So here's a question for you. I agree with the friends thing. So we moved away from friends. And it's hard to have friends in a new city.
Yeah.
The people that we know here are just way too busy and we just never, ever hang out with them.
Everyone's
right?
busy. Yeah.
Like everyone's just grinding it because moving away, you're just focused on whatever you got to do. Right. And just like you said, living here, you're like, I got to do this, I got to do that. So a lot of people actually like moving away so they can concentrate more. It's more growth for themselves. They become better in whatever it is that they want to do. Right. And so do you think that's more important to be able to focus on what you need to do? Or is it more important to be able to go hang out with your friends?
I think it depends because there has to be some kind of balance because just being out here, I guess I'm just, like I said, my mentality is different. So I'm just trying to get stuff done. I feel like there's so much to do. And there will be moments where I'm like, oh man, like I wish I could just go and hang out with this person or see this person. But what I do is I try to maintain the relationships by like texting them or like sending memes to each other.
Yeah.
Sending pictures and videos of like the family and stuff. So it's kind of like you get to see each other without really hanging out.
I think it's still different. So it's like if I had to choose between focusing on things I need to do or being with friends, I think I would choose friends because it's better for mental health. It's more happiness there, right? But I'm not saying like I'm going to hang out with friends all the time and not do this focus on myself stuff.
But it's nice to have an option to be able to hang out with friends.
Because when we're in California, we still didn't have time to hang out with friends. We were still focusing on all the stuff we got to do, right? And even though you don't have time to hang out with friends in California, but when you text them, there was more of a bond because you're only 20 minutes away from them.
Right.
Right. But when you text people now, your friends now, and knowing that you're 4 hours away, the bond is a little bit different. It feels different because you know you're so far away.
Yeah.
So you can kind of feel it through the text. Like, okay, well, it doesn't just feel as close.
Yeah, because usually when I'm like talking to friends, I'm like, okay, when are we gonna hang out? When's the next time? And it's like soon, like within the near future, like within a week or something, right? You're planning ahead. But over here, when I'm texting friends, like I'm just like, oh man, like when are we gonna see each other? I don't know. I don't even know when's the next time I'm going to come out here. So like everything's kind of up in the air, right? So you're kind of project like a time to hang out, but at the same time you're like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen or their schedule's going to change.
I mean, with the way that we're growing in our careers and everything else right now, even if we were living in California, our schedule is like 2 weeks out.
Yeah, that's
true. Like we can't hang out with anyone within 2 weeks because everything is booked up.
Yeah.
Like that was even prior to moving to Vegas. You know? We had a friend that was trying to hang out with us all the time. And she's like, you're 2 weeks out? Like, what, you know?
Yeah.
But now she's so busy that she understands it. She's like, oh yeah. Like she's actually months out now.
Yeah, and I honestly feel like even though that was one of the biggest cons of moving out here, it also kind of worked out because even though I don't get to see my parents as often by going to their house and stuff, I feel like they will make the trip out more here. And then I have seen my siblings way more than I had like when we were in California because now I'm like in the middle
Yeah.
of my parents and my siblings. So then they all kind of just make the trip to come out here. And then when we see each other, I feel like the bond is different. And the things that we do, it's kind of like you're trying to connect more rather than like it being kind of like a daily thing. You just kind of see each other, everyone's doing their own thing, even though you're in the same house.
Oh, so it's like a stronger bond when you guys see each
It's a stronger
other.
connection because you're like, oh man, this is so cool. We can finally like reconnect and hang out more and bond over these new things because we've been away for so long.
So that sounds like it's a benefit for you to move here and have this different relationship with your family.
Yeah.
The friends part, how do you feel about that?
The friends part, I miss them. And like I said, I do miss having those like times where I could just be like, hey, let's hang out. Or if I have friends, like a lot of my close friends, they all moved out of state. Like they're in Michigan, Arizona, or they just all live far away.
So this is the hard part because family is, you always talk to family, right? Family's always there for you guys.
Right.
But at the same time, family isn't a daily connection like your friends.
That's true.
Your friends is your daily connection, right? Every single day you're talking to your friends. And now moving so far away, I almost don't talk to anybody. So like, it's almost like there's a sense of loneliness, but I don't know. It's different.
Yeah, I do get that too. I do have that sense of loneliness just because like everyone is so busy, and then when you're living closer to each other and you connect with each other or you're texting, you're just like, oh cool, like we'll see each other when we see each other because
Yeah.
you have that option. But when you're out here, you're like, oh man, like I don't know when I'm gonna see them, and
I think what makes it hard too is that usually when people move somewhere else, they go out and find things they want to do, new hobbies, and then they make friends that way, right? Like we can make friends from Leia and Enzo's school, meet other parents, jiu-jitsu class. They're really great, and I
Yeah,
love those people there. True. We can be friends with them. Like real estate, things that you want to do, we can do that. But the issue is because we moved away and now we're concentrating on ourselves, we don't have time to make these new connections.
Yeah. Do you remember when I was telling you how Leia, who's 5 years old, when I was driving her to school, and she was just like randomly just brought up, Mom, I don't want to get married. I'm like, why not? Well, I don't want to have kids. I'm like, how come? Well, because like it's so much work and I don't want to spend every day working, And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like she's so young, and to hear her say that, and it kind of just opened my eyes because like all these things that we're talking about, right? Like we're always thinking about hustling and working all the time and just getting stuff done, errands, like just being responsible, right? And now like for our 5-year-old daughter to like see all of this stuff and kind of just be like, you guys work too much.
I think this is where I don't think that's the problem. I think we messed up in the way we communicated. So I don't think like no matter how much you work, that's fine. Everyone's got to do what they got to do, but it's how you explain it to the kid. And I think we need more patience. So there's a lot of times when we're like, okay, see you later, Leia. I got to work. Bye. Or I got to go fly to California. I got to work. Bye. Right? Then all she's going to think is work, work, work. But if we explain the work without having to say it's work, because what we do for work, we love. We love what we do. So why don't we tell her that we're doing the things that we love? So it's like, hey, Leia, I'm flying to California because I'm going to go help someone buy a home. We're going to inspect a home, make sure there's no problems with the house. And then I'm going to come back because I have to go help people, Leia, you know, or it's like I have to, if we explain it like that, then they won't think, oh, they're always working. They're going to think, oh, they're always helping people.
Yeah.
Now she's going to be like, how do I help people?
Yeah, I think I was thinking about that because you're talking about like, oh, we can be connecting with like new people out here and having play dates and like making friends with like her friends' parents and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Which is different for us because we haven't really had to do that because they're so young. But, you know, like she'll be like, oh, my friend at school said to come over and like go hang out and my friend wants me to go to their birthday or they want to come over to our house and we're just like, oh yeah, okay, you know?
Yeah.
But I think maybe she's saying that too because we have to give them that chance to take them on those play dates and kind of like have those like those times for her to like be able to do things like that. Because I think because we're always working and doing other things, it's kind of like we got to have that balance too, so she can kind of see that.
We just need to have tighter schedules. If we have tighter schedules, then we have more time to do things.
I know.
That's
I know.
it.
We say that every time.
We just have to be disciplined in what we do so we can do other things that we want that will help us grow in other ways on a personal level.
Yeah, so if you're wherever you currently are and you're currently working all the time, if you're going to move to another state, you got to think about these things and think about balancing your lifestyle. But I know a lot of people actually move out of state because of what you're saying too. Right. The other option of, well, I just want to focus. I want to work.
So here's what I'm thinking right now is everything that we talked about, everything is worth moving out of state. Right? Our parents did that. They moved from China to United States for a bigger dream.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we're doing right now for this bigger dream. And I would say, yes, it's worth it. Right? But then missing certain like friends and things like that is pretty high up there with it to where it almost doesn't make it worth it. But it's like at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. And I think everything else surpasses it to where it just makes it worth it.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to friendships, maybe it's like trying to keep that deeper connection. Because I feel like that saying where they say like absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? So I guess I'm used to having friends that all kind of just moved out of state and being further from me. So knowing that, I try to keep that connection and bond and try to communicate with them still. So then it's kind of like those friendships where when you do see them, you're picking up where you left off. I feel like those are the best friendships.
I have those all the time, but it's not like I talk to them every day.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to. That's the thing. That's the beauty of it.
Right, but that's what I'm saying though. That's like in the middle of all that, that's when you get lonely.
I get it.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But there are some things to supplement if we can enjoy living in Vegas more. So there's so many things here that we haven't done yet. Right now, I feel like a lot of times we do the same things because we've gotten a little comfortable here in Vegas.
Yeah.
But there's so many things that we have not experienced yet. Is there anything that you want to do here in Vegas that you've never gotten to do? Or like, what's something that you would want to do that maybe we would never even do because it's too expensive?
I have no idea.
I got one for you. So I researched what can we do in Vegas, and I found this adventure, and it is shooting machine guns out of a helicopter.
How would that even work?
Because we live in a desert. So you pay $3,000
Oh my gosh.
to take a helicopter ride. And you know how the army helicopters, military helicopters, they have the gunners?
Yeah.
Right? And you get this belt and it goes. You can do that here in Vegas.
That would be cool.
For civilians.
I would actually really like that.
You know what I mean? Like there's so much that we can do here.
Yeah. When we were driving the other day too, I think we saw people who were bungeeing from the stratosphere.
Yes.
Was that?
I mean, you could do that everywhere though.
I know, but I was just so surprised because I know these as like hotels. So when I saw people like bungeeing off of that, I was like, what?
Yeah, that was a little crazy. Like, I didn't even know what was going on because I saw someone jump down and they went down, 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 down. and that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't see anyone jump back up. So I was like, what?
Yeah, or like you can zip line on the strip too, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could do that all in California.
Well, I know,
too.
but it's just
And you
it's
could
a
do
different
it.
vibe
I mean, I'd rather zip line in Malibu,
in
where,
Maui.
where the mountains are and the ocean.
Yeah.
You know, than do it in the strip.
That's true.
So California wins that. I rather. There's a lot. I don't know. There's just the beautiful ocean in California that I miss too.
It, yeah.
Yeah, but you know one thing I hate about Vegas?
What?
I hate the cold.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say that for some reason.
Everyone says it's so hot here. I'm gonna tell you this, guys. It's fucking cold here. It's so cold. I can't take it.
I kind of like it though. Like even though it's freezing, we have seasons. We get to experience a true summer, a true spring, a true fall,
I know,
a true
but
winter.
I can't move. My body just tightens up, and I'm like breaking ice on my skin, trying to get to the next spot in the house.
Yeah.
You know, like for you, when it's summertime, you can't handle, you and Leia. Okay, you guys cannot handle the heat. You guys are turning into zombies. You're like walking the heat like this.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm melting. When I'm in the heat, I just can't,
You can't
function. Yeah.
I can't function in the cold.
Oh, that's so funny.
I think that's I think because I'm trained from playing so much basketball in my life that when you get cold in basketball, you can't run anymore, you can't shoot. So I'm kind of like, that's how my body is.
Oh.
So when I see cold, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do anything. I don't want to do anything. I just want to, I feel like a frozen embryo.
What? That's
Yeah,
such a
like
weird-
literally like just stuck in a little egg.
Maybe you need to be more physical, and then whenever it gets cold, you need to like do something that'll give you like a what is that called? I was
Like
gonna
go
say
work out.
something.
Yeah, I don't want to do that when it's cold.
Give you an adrenaline boost.
I don't want to do anything when it's cold.
That's true actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You know?
and it gets really dry out here too. The humidity.
I mean, I can handle that. More
you don't have-
lotion, more
'Cause you don't
chapstick.
have sensitive skin.
I mean, I do. I got like bumps all over me and I'm itchy every day. But I'm just like, I'm scratching myself with these bumps and I'm like, oh, look at this house.
Yeah, you need humidifiers depending on where you live. So,
You got to tell me one thing you want to do here in Vegas.
out here, I mean, all the things that I would want to do out here is like stuff I've always wanted to do back home, but I feel like I feel more adventurous out here.
I don't
like,
think you've researched enough yet.
Yeah, I haven't researched enough. But like I think we are just talking about this the other day. Like I want to be able to like learn how to ride a motorcycle too. Like I've always wanted to
In
back
the
home.
mountains.
Yeah.
I want to go dirt biking in the mountains.
I mean, I've never been on a dirt bike before,
Me
so I
neither.
don't even know how it is.
I mean, it's easier than a motorcycle,
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, I guess I would want to do that actually. That actually sounds like something that would
Like,
be really fun.
we can literally buy dirt bikes and from our garage go to the mountains.
Yeah, I think because we're out and there's so many mountains and there's so much like, is there greenery out here? Like there's just so many outdoorsy things that we can do. So like that's probably why I want to be more adventurous. Like going ATVing or going on a dirt bike or just like finding new outdoor activities to do.
Well, we do have an ATV scheduled coming up. So we'll see. I don't know. Might be in a vlog. I don't know, guys. You got to check it
Or
out.
maybe a machine gun helicopter adventure.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's start doing some extreme stuff here in Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah. You down?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, when I was in Utah, my brother used to take me out and to be able to go shoot. Like, I don't think you can do that now, but we would just be able to go into like an open space and shoot. I wonder if we can do that out here because that would be really
I
fun.
mean, they have places where you can pay for that area and bring things to shoot, like cans and watermelons and
I
whatnot.
would love to be able to do that too.
Yeah, we can do that.
Do they have archery out here? That would be cool.
Yeah.
See, now I'm getting ideas.
Cool. I don't know those are Vegas things, but I was talking about like Vegas things to do. You know what I'm
I
saying?
don't know, I'm
Like
just feeling adventurous.
they got racing Lambos and all that stuff here.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, that'd be cool to drive it, but
It's too expensive. It's like $500 for like 5 laps in a Lambo.
that's it.
I rather
$100 a lap.
I rather just keep hustling until we can get a Lambo and take as many laps as we can. I don't really want a Lambo though.
No.
I don't really care. All right, so everything that we spoke about, was it worth it for you to move to Las Vegas, out of state from California?
Overall, I would say yes. I feel like,
Would you move back?
I don't know. That would be the thing. Like if we were to move back, it would have to be in a completely different area that we were in. Maybe outside of the city. I don't know. Closer to the beach.
You know,
maybe.
now when I travel back to California and I help certain clients find homes an hour away from LA County and it is more rural, I'm like, this is kind of nice.
Yeah.
I might want to live an hour away from the city now.
Yep.
You know, more simple life. But also, I am not against moving to another state.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I feel like this has opened up so much for us, and I'm more open to being uncomfortable by being in a completely different place.
Name a state you would move to.
I mean, it's always Hawaii, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Name another state you would move to.
Shoot. I don't know.
Pick one.
I don't know. It's always been Hawaii for me.
Oh my gosh.
I could never picture myself living anywhere else but Hawaii.
I'm going to say
I love it too much.
Florida. Because you still have the beach, but you also have like
Hurricane season. Well, I mean, Hawaii does too.
Are there hurricanes in like where Disney World is in Orlando?
I don't know.
I mean, Orlando seems kind of fun, man. They got all the theme parks.
Yeah, and it's really humid out there.
Oh, snap. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
I've never been there. So we got to take
Yeah.
a family vacation there. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode of if it was worth it for us to move out of state. I hope you guys learned a lot from this. And if you are leaning towards that type of decision or have these thoughts in your head, I hope this helps. And I hope you guys get uncomfortable and try and move out of where you are if you are talking about that.
Yeah, and for those of you who are watching this and you have moved out of state, feel free to share your thoughts and to let other people know like how the transition was for you, because I feel like everyone is really considering moving out of state and there's just so many questions that they have and they just don't know.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Nike, just do it.
Do it.
Do it. Okay. And also I want to say thank you to everybody. This is our first podcast episode that's been an hour long and we didn't cut it up into multiple parts. I think we're going to make this switch and just keep it at these 1 hour so you guys can get your vlogs on Tuesdays and get your podcast on Thursdays on YouTube or all podcast platforms on Wednesday. Okay. So please, if you guys have not followed us on Spotify yet, please do. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. We'll love it. Please comment. Please engage with us so we can get more topics and keep doing this podcast with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for watching and listening to Love and Rice, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.